So this week we are going to learn about CSS3. So we are really going to expand what we know, and we're going to get into CSS animation. So you are going to start with the web-based readings, which briefly cover what we are going to be working through this week. And CSS3 is huge, and there are constantly new CSS properties and values being added. So this is not going to be a comprehensive list, but it is some pretty neat features that you are going to be working with. So this lecture demo goes through some of the new features, and we also review some of the features that we've already used that are part of CSS3. As they come out with new CSS features, sometimes the different web browsers cannot display it. They don't recognize it. And this little website, caniuse.com, will tell you if a feature that you're interested in is being supported by the web browsers or not. However, even if a feature is not fully supported, you can prefix the CSS with these different rendering engine prefixes that go with the various browsers. And that will allow you to use the command before the browser even recognizes it. So as you're going through here, some of these commands you will recognize. And I've got lots of examples, and then I showed the code that I used. So you can do all sorts of cool stuff with the border radius besides rounding all of the corners. You can selectively round. We've already talked a little bit about backgrounds. So this is more information on backgrounds. We are going to learn a little bit more about color. I know some of you have already asked about transparency. And yes, there is CSS RGBA. A stands for alpha, which does allow you to make the background color slightly transparent. So information on that. Also how to create gradients. So as you go through here, you will see lots of really neat features and links where you can go try it and play around with it so you can be ready to use it in your own pages. Okay, so I've got lots of examples. One of the neater examples I have, we can get down to this, is for a new command that actually gets into filter effects. So I've got a picture and then some of the filters applied. And then I've got this interactive one. And you can actually drag the slider and see what the setting is. Oops, probably don't want that option. Okay, so this is kind of a fun little interactive feature here. Okay, so as you go through here, anytime you see sliders, they are interactive, but this one gets kind of wild. Okay, but you can see what the settings are as you are playing with them. There are a couple of new features that I have not worked into this class yet, but I think they are worth mentioning. The first one is it's like a clipping mask. So basically what it lets you do is kind of take a vector graphic and place it over an image, and then basically you can clip that image and have it come through in place of your text. So it's actually a super cool effect, and it is explained here. There is another pretty neat effect Let's say you have an image and you can't, there's just not enough room on your page to fit the whole image. So you're going to only be able to fit a portion of it. And what you can do is you can actually move the image within this section where it is displayed. And it uses object fit and object position. So if you go into this, try it yourself, and you play around with the position here. Okay, you can see that the image actually moves within the area that it is displaying. So the image is a lot bigger than the portion that we can see. And this moves it horizontally, which actually is super cool. So lots of really neat new features that you guys can try, in addition to the ones that we are going to be learning about today. So after you finish that lecture demo, you are going to be ready for the textbook assignment. And this is going to give you very specific practice utilizing CSS3, and with a specific focus on the animation and the transitions and transformations. So there are some files and graphics and a font file that you are going to be downloading. And then you are going to open up famous quotes, and you're actually going to add a little tooltip to the quotations. And so that when you put the mouse over the quote, it'll show you who made the quote. Okay, so this is just all about CSS, because we can use the CSS to hide the the person who made the quote, and then we can have the CSS display it when we hover. So you will be learning how to do that. And then you are going to make the quotations bounce. So you're going to add some animation. And I do have a PDF here, so you can see all the HTML and CSS. Make sure you didn't miss anything. And then the next task is going to be to create a 3D cube. So here's an external PDF that you can look at. And I have one here in the iframe. You may want to make it a little bit bigger. I don't know if we can resize this or not. There. Okay, so you can kind of zoom in and you can actually see all the code that you need to enter here as well. And then once you're done, this is exactly what it should look like. Okay, and so once you're done with that one, you are going to create an animated ball. So you are actually going to create this ball using border radius and a radial gradient. And you're going to make the shadow, and then through the miracle of CSS3, you are going to make it bounce. And this is all the code you need for that. And then finally, you are going to be copying your song snippet page and your CSS from a previous week into this week. And you are going to be adding some animation to that. Okay. And then when you're done, you should have all of these files, which you will then transfer to the web. For the lab assignment, what you are going to be doing is adding animation to some of your existing pages. So the Flexbox page from lesson 6 and the form from lesson 8, you're going to want to copy those into our current lesson 9 folder. And then you can rename it the Flexbox, Flexbox with animation. And then you can rename the form My Form Animated. And I do have some animation in here that you can use, or you can play around and, do animation that you like. But if you wanted to use the animation that I've kind of set up, I've got it here, and I have an example of the flex box. And so this is the animation on this one. It just rocks. But like I said, you guys can do whatever you want here. This is just kind of an example. And if you want to do the rocking, that's fine. I've got the code here for you. And directions on how to make it do that. And for the form, let's see, the form, here is an example of how it looks. You can see things kind of slide in. And here's how it looks in the text survey. Okay, and if you like that animation, I do have all of the directions here for that. And you can always right click and kind of see how I did that. But this is the transition on the text. And I also have some animation down here on these buttons. Okay, so there is quite a bit of animation here. Like I said, you can follow directions and animate it like I did, or you guys can do your own kind of animation. And then once you're done with that, you are going to create a new page, and you are going to basically make the boxes resizable. So right now, these cannot be resized. And what you're going to do is make the background resizable and the text box inside resizable. And then you are going to be applying some responsive background sizing to each of the images. And here is the code that you're going to need to add for that. And you can see that for one of the image, we're going to do the background size of contain, and the other one we are going to use cover. Okay, and then finally, the last thing you're going to do is you are going to animate something on your assignment page. Okay, and you choose what to animate. And if you want to animate more than one thing, that is fine. And I will find whatever you animate, because I'm going to look at your code and I will do a Control F and I will look for your animation. So once you guys have all of this done, transfer it to the web. Make sure that you go into each Dropbox, the Dropbox for the textbook assignment, Dropbox for the lab assignment, and that you add done so that I know it needs to be corrected. Okay, the last thing I want to show you real quick is this HSL color picker. This was something that I found that I thought was kind of cool. So with this, you can see you can use your sliders here. HSL is what it's on right now, but you can actually change it. You can get HSLA, RGBA. Okay, drag the sliders, and then you could use those codes in your CSS. Okay, so it's super easy to use. It's even got the hex value over here. So just another resource for you guys. Now, if you are working on this and you have problems, maybe some of the animation isn't working or something, make sure you transfer your page to the web and throw me an email and I will check it out for you. Have an awesome week and have fun with these assignments.